The ship shook like a toy in the hands of an angry child. Park grabbed the metal rail above his head and held on tight. Red lights flashed everywhere. The alarm screamed so loud that he could barely hear his own thoughts. "What hit us?" he shouted. Was at the control panel, her fingers moving fast over the buttons. Her face was pale, but her eyes were focused. "Asteroids," she called back. "A whole field of them. They were not on any map." Another impact. The ship tilted hard to the left, lost his grip and slammed into the wall. Pain shot through his shoulder, but he pushed it away. There was no time for pain right now. Captain Lee Menyu's voice came through the speakers. It was calm, the way it always was, even when everything was falling apart. "Hull breach in cargo section 3. I am sending a distress signal. Get to the emergency pods, now." Pulled himself up and looked at. She was still at the controls. "We need to go." "I am trying to stabilize the ship," she said. "If I can just—" The ceiling above her groaned. Metal twisted. Saw it before she did. A cargo container, one of the big ones filled with mining equipment, was breaking free from its restraints. It was going to fall right on top of her. He did not think, he just moved. Threw himself at. He wrapped his arms around her and pulled her away from the control panel. They tumbled together across the floor. The cargo container crashed down exactly where she had been standing. The sound was like thunder inside a metal box, but was not fast enough to get completely clear. The edge of the container caught him. It hit his back, his legs, his arm. He felt things break inside his body. He felt bones snap like dry sticks. The pain was so big that it filled his whole world for a moment. Then the moment passed. The pain was still there, but it moved to the back of his mind. There were more important things to focus on. Was screaming his name. "Are you okay? Talk to me." He opened his eyes. He was lying on the floor. Was kneeling next to him, tears running down her face. Her hands were shaking as she touched his shoulder. "Hey," he said. His voice came out rough and weak. "That was close." "You idiot," she sobbed. "You stupid, brave idiot. Why did you do that?" "Because you were standing under a very heavy box." He tried to smile. It hurt, but he did it anyway. Seemed like the right thing to do. Another alarm joined the first one. The ship was dying around them. Could hear metal screaming, systems failing, air hissing out through cracks in the hull. "Help me up," he said. "You cannot move. You are hurt badly, I can see." He looked into her eyes. "Help me up. We need to get to the pod." She wiped her face with the back of her hand. Then she nodded. She was scared, but she was also strong. That was why I liked working with her. She never gave up. Getting to his feet was not easy. Every movement sent new waves of pain through his body. He could feel that something was very wrong with his right leg. It did not want to hold his weight. His left arm hung strange and loose at his side. Breathing hurt in a way that told him his ribs were broken. But he stood. He leaned on and he stood. "Can you walk?" she asked. "I can try." They moved through the broken ship together, supported most of his weight. The emergency pod was at the end of the corridor. It seemed very far away. Captain Menyu met them halfway. His face was bloody from a cut on his forehead, but he was moving fine. When he saw, his eyes went wide for just a second. Then his expression became calm again. "How bad?" the captain asked. "Bad," said. "He saved me, the container." "I saw." Menyu moved to his other side and took some of his weight. "Let us move. The rescue signal is out. Someone will come." "Sorry," Captain said. His voice was getting weaker. "I think I broke some things." "You can apologize later, after we survive." They reached the emergency pod. It was small, meant for 3 people at most. Menyu helped lower onto the floor. There were no seats left once and the captain strapped in. "Launching now," Menyu said. He pressed the button. The pod shot away from the dying ship. Through the small window, watched the silver crane break apart. Pieces of metal floated in all directions. Fire bloomed and then died as it ran out of air to burn. Their ship, their home for the past 2 years, gone. The cargo said suddenly, "Did anyone save my lunch? I had really good noodles in there." Made a sound that was half laugh, half sob. "Your ship is destroyed and you are thinking about noodles." They were really good noodles. Even Captain Minu smiled a little. "You are unbelievable, Park." The pain was getting worse now. Could feel his body starting to shake, but he kept his eyes open. He kept breathing. He was not going to pass out, not going to give up, not going to die in this tiny pod floating in the middle of nowhere. "How long until rescue?" asked. Minu checked the screen. The signal reached Orbital Station 12. They are sending a ship, maybe 1 hour. 1 hour. Could do 1 hour. He had done harder things. He had worked double shifts in the mines back on Earth. He had survived 3 days in the desert when his transport broke down. He had gotten through his mother's cooking every holiday for 32 years. He could do 1 hour. The rescue ship arrived in 47 minutes. Knew because he counted every second. It helped him stay awake. It gave him something to focus on besides the pain. When the alien rescue crew opened the pod, they found something they did not expect. They expected a dead body or at least an unconscious one. Instead, they found a human man with blood on his face and a crooked smile. "Hey," said to the tall, thin alien who stared down at him. "Thanks for coming. I would shake your hand, but I think my arm is broken." The alien looked at his partner. Neither of them said anything. They had never seen anything like this before. A human broken in more places than they could count, still talking, still joking, still alive. They loaded him onto their ship and flew toward the station. The whole way there kept asking if they had any water, and maybe some food. The noodles, he explained, were really very good. It was a shame about the noodles. The rescue crew did not understand humans at all. Doctor had been healing people for 40 cycles. In that time, she had seen many things. She had treated wounds from space battles. She had fixed bodies broken by factory machines. She had held the hands of dying patients and watched life leave their eyes. She thought she had seen everything. She was wrong. The message from the rescue ship said that a critical patient was coming. A human male with severe injuries from a ship accident. Prepared her medical bay with care. She checked her tools twice. She made sure the life support machines were ready. Wazay, like most of the medical staff on Orbital Station 12, were tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. They were known across the galaxy for their intelligence and their skill in medicine. They were also known for something else. They were fragile. A single broken bone could kill. The shock alone was often enough to stop their hearts. Their bodies were not built for damage. When it got hurt, they needed immediate care or they died. It was simple and terrible. This was why became a doctor. She wanted to save her people from their weakness. She wanted to understand pain and injury so she could fight against them. The doors of the medical bay opened. The rescue team came in, carrying a stretcher between them. On the stretcher was the human. Moved forward, ready to work. She expected to see a body barely holding on to life. She expected closed eyes, shallow breathing, maybe no breathing at all. Instead, the human looked up at her and spoke. "Sorry about the mess," he said. His voice was rough but clear. "I got blood on your nice floor." Stopped walking, she stared at him. He was covered in blood. His clothes were torn. His arm was bent in a way that arms should not bend. She could see bone pushing against the skin of his leg. His face was swollen and purple with bruises. And he was talking, making jokes, apologizing for the blood. "Get him on the scanner," said. Her voice did not shake, but inside she was confused. This made no sense. Nurse helped move the human to the scanning bed. Was smaller than they, with green skin and 4 arms. She was young and still learning, but she was good at her job. Right now, her eyes were very wide. "What is your name?" asked the human as the scanner started to work. "Park," he said, "my friends call me." "I am doctor. I am going to help you." "Great. Hey, do you have any water? I am really thirsty." Looked at nodded. The nurse went to get water while the scanner continued its work. The machine hummed and beeped. Light moved over his body, reading everything inside him. The results appeared on screen. She looked at them. Then she looked again. Then she checked to make sure the scanner was working correctly. 17 broken bones, 4 ribs on the left side, his right collarbone, his right thigh bone, the biggest bone in the human body, his left shin, 3 fingers on his left hand, 2 bones in his spine, his right wrist. His pelvis was cracked in 2 different places. 17 broken bones. His hands began to shake. If I had even 3 broken bones, they would be dead. 5 would kill them twice over if such a thing were possible. This human had 17, and he was asking for water. "Is something wrong?" asked. He saw her face. "You look worried. How bad is it?" Did not know how to answer. She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again. "You have 17 broken bones," she finally said. Was quiet for a moment, then he nodded. "Yeah, that sounds about right. The container was pretty heavy." "You have 17 broken bones," repeated. She needed to say it again to make sure it was real. "You said that already." "Does it not hurt?" "Thought about this." "Oh, it hurts. It hurts a lot, actually. Maybe a 7 out of 10. Could you give me something for that?" 7 out of 10. Felt dizzy. A 7 out of 10 with 17 broken bones. Her patient screamed and cried and begged for death with far less damage than this. Came back with the water. She handed it to, and he drank it all in one long gulp. "Thanks," he said. "That is better." Then saw the scan results on the screen. Her 4 arms all went to her face at once. Her green skin turned a lighter shade. For a moment, thought the nurse might fall over. "How is he alive?" whispered. Did not have an answer. She moved closer to and began to examine him with her own eyes. The scanner was accurate, but she needed to see for herself. She needed to touch the damage and understand it. "I am going to look at your injuries now," she told him. "Tell me if anything hurts too much." "Everything hurts too much," said, "but go ahead." She checked his ribs first. She could feel the breaks under his skin. Sharp edges of bone where there should be smooth curves. Any one of these breaks would have sent her into fatal shock. Winced but did not scream. He did not even cry. "Your ribs are very bad," said. "I figured. It is hard to breathe." "Hard to breathe. You should not be able to breathe at all." Smiled a little. "Humans are tough. My grandmother always said so. She lived to 103 and she fell down the stairs at least 10 times. Did not know what to say to this. She checked his arm next, then his leg. The damage was severe. The human body was a mess of broken pieces held together by muscle and will. But it was still working. The heart was still beating. The lungs were still moving air. The brain was still thinking clearly enough to make jokes about grandmothers. "I need to set your bones," said. "This will hurt." "More than it already does." "Yes." Took a deep breath. It clearly caused him pain, but he did it anyway. "Okay, do what you need to do." Worked for hours. She set bones back into place. She wrapped wounds. She gave medicine for the pain, though she had to guess at the right amount. Human bodies process drugs differently than one's. Through it all, stayed awake. He talked to about her home planet. He asked about her work. He made bad jokes that neither of them really understood. When it was over, when all the broken pieces were as fixed as they could be for now, stood back and looked at her patient. "You should rest," she said. "I am pretty tired," admitted. "Hey, does this station have any movies? I could use something to watch." Movies? He had 17 broken bones and he wanted to watch movies. Looked at, the nurse looked back at her. Neither of them spoke, but they were both thinking the same thing. Humans were something else entirely. Pulled a chair next his bed and sat down. She was not leaving. She was certain that at any moment the human would collapse. His body would finally realize how damaged it was and shut down. She needed to be there when it happened. But as the hours passed, did not collapse. He fell asleep watching some old Earth comedy that found in the station's database. His breathing was steady. His heart kept beating. Against all logic, against everything new about medicine and biology and pain, the human lived. She sat in her chair and watched him sleep. She had so many questions. She did not know where to begin. Did not sleep that night. She sat in the chair next his bed and waited for him to die. Every few minutes she checked his vital signs. Every time they were stable. It made no sense. Nothing about this human made sense. When the station's artificial morning came, opened his eyes. He looked around the room, confused for a moment. Then he saw and smiled. "You are still here," he said. "Did you stay all night?" "I was monitoring your condition." "You were waiting for me to die." Paused, she could not lie to him. "Yes." "Sorry to disappoint you." "I am not disappointed. I am," she searched for the right word, "amazed." Tried to sit up. Pain crossed his face, sharp and clear. He stopped moving and lay back down. "Okay, that was a bad idea. You should not move. Your bones need time to heal." "How long?" "For with your injuries, they would be dead. There is no healing time for the dead," shook her head. "For a human, I do not know. Your species is rare in this part of the galaxy. I have never treated one before." Was quiet for a moment. He looked at the ceiling. "Where I come from, broken bones take about 6 to 8 weeks to heal, maybe longer for the big ones." 6 to 8 weeks, voice rose with surprise. "That is all." "Is that fast for you?" A who survived a single broken bone would need a full cycle to recover, maybe more. Most do not survive at all. Turned his head to look at her. His eyes were kind even through the pain and the swelling. "That sounds hard. I am sorry." Did not know how to respond to sympathy from someone in his condition. She moved on to her questions instead. "I need to understand," she said. "The pain you are feeling right now. How are you managing it? What is your secret?" "There is no secret." Thought about it. "It hurts. It hurts a lot, but pain is just information. My body is telling me that something is wrong. I already know something is wrong, so I take the information and I put it aside." "You put it aside?" "In the back of my mind. It is still there, but I do not focus on it." Leaned forward. This was fascinating. Your brain can choose to ignore pain signals. Not ignore exactly, more like, turn down the volume, shifted slightly, wincing. Humans have these things called endorphins, natural painkillers that our bodies make. When we get hurt badly, our brains release them to help us keep going. Keep going. Why would you need to keep going when you are injured? Because sometimes the thing that hurt you is still trying to kill you, or you need to get somewhere safe, or someone else needs your help. Smiled a little. My ancestors survived by being too stubborn to quit. If a lion broke your leg, you could not just lie down and die. You had to get up and run anyway. Lions. Big cats with lots of teeth. Earth has some dangerous animals. Was writing notes on her data pad. Her hand moved fast across the screen. This was important. This was something the medical community needed to know. "You said your ancestors were persistent hunters," she said. "What does that mean?" His eyes lit up a little. He seemed happy to explain. "It means we did not catch our food by being faster or stronger. We caught it by never giving up. We would chase an animal for hours, sometimes days. The animal would run fast and then need to rest. We would keep walking. Eventually, the animal was too tired to run anymore." "You walked animals to death." "Pretty much. Humans are really good at walking and running long distances and recovering from damage." He paused. "We are not the fastest or the strongest species on Earth, but we might be the hardest to kill." The door to the medical room opened. came in with a tray of food. Behind her were two more people, and Captain Lee Minyu saw awake and made a sound between a cry and a laugh. She rushed to his bed and grabbed his hand, the one that was not broken. "You are okay. You are really okay. I told you I would be fine. You have 17 broken bones. But I am fine." Looked at, "Is he fine? Tell me the truth." Hesitated. In her experience, patients with this level of damage were never fine, but this was not a normal patient. "He is stable. His body is fighting to heal itself. I have never seen anything like it." Captain Minyu stood at the end of the bed. His arms were crossed. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes were watching carefully. "You scared us," he said. "Sorry, Captain." "Do not be sorry. You saved life. I saw the container fall. If you had not moved—" Minyu did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. Squeezed hand. "You stupid, wonderful man. I have been called worse." Set the food tray on the table next his bed. It was the station's standard patient meal, a kind of soft food that looked like jelly. Looked at it and made a face. "What is that?" "Nutrition paste," said. "It has everything your body needs to heal." "It looks like something that already got eaten once." His four arms moved in a gesture that might have been confusion. "I do not understand." "Never mind." Picked up the spoon with his good hand and tried the paste. He made another face but swallowed it. "Okay, it tastes better than it looks, but only a little." Watched the interaction with great interest. Here was a being who should be screaming in agony, eating strange food and joking with his friends. The human body was remarkable, but maybe the human spirit was even more so. "I have more questions," said, "when you are feeling up to it. Ask away. I'm not going anywhere." For the next several hours, learned about human biology. She learned about adrenaline, the chemical that gave humans extra strength and speed in dangerous situations. She learned about the human immune system, which attacked invaders with a fury that seemed almost violent. She learned about scar tissue, which made human skin stronger at the points where it had been damaged. Humans, she realized, were built to break and rebuild. Their bodies expected damage. They had evolved on a world that was constantly trying to kill them, and they had responded by becoming nearly unkillable. "On my planet," said slowly, "we evolved differently. We became smart so we could avoid danger. Our technology protected us. Our bodies never needed to become strong." "Every species finds its own way," said. "There is nothing wrong with being smart. But there is something special about being tough." Smiled at her. It was a warm smile despite the pain behind it. "Maybe, but I would trade some toughness for a body that did not hurt this much." Laughed. It was the first real laugh it heard since the humans arrived. The sound was strange but pleasant. "He is always like this," said Tu. "He got his arm stuck in a machine once and he just calmly told me to get help. No screaming, no panic. It was a very small machine. It almost took your arm off. But it did not." Captain Minyu shook his head. "I told you, doctor, he is too stubborn to die." Looked at her patient, broken but undefeated, eating paste and making his friends laugh. She had treated thousands of patients in her career. She had never met anyone like Park. She began to think that maybe she had been approaching medicine all wrong. She had always tried to prevent damage, to keep her patients safe from harm. But perhaps there was another way. Perhaps some beings were meant to face damage and overcome it. Perhaps being breakable was not the same as being weak. She stayed with for the rest of the day, asking questions and writing notes. By the time evening came, she had filled more data files than she had in the past 10 cycles. And despite everything, was still alive and still smiling. News traveled fast on Orbital Station 12. By the third day, everyone knew about the human in the medical bay. The one with 17 broken bones, the one who would not die. It started with the rescue crew. They told their friends about the strange being who joked while bleeding. Those friends told other friends. The story grew and spread like fire through dry grass. Did you hear about the human? They say he has 20 broken bones, and he is still walking around. I heard it was 30 bones, and he was asking for food. Someone told me he broke his own bones on purpose to prove how strong he was. The truth was impressive enough without the lies, but people loved to add details. By the end of the week, Park had become something of a legend on the station. And people wanted to see him. Tried to keep them away at first. Her patient needed rest, not visitors, but they kept coming. Traders, travelers, diplomats, workers from every part of the station. They gathered outside the medical bay, trying to peek through the windows. "This is ridiculous," said Tu. "He is not an exhibit." "They are curious," replied. Her forearms were full of data pads, gifts that people had sent for the human, flowers from the garden level, food from the trading district, a small toy that made music when you touched it. They have never seen a human before. And the stories. The stories are getting out of control. Yes, but can you blame them? I watched you set his bones. I saw what was inside him, and he is still alive. His big eyes were full of wonder. It is hard not to tell people about something like that. Did not seem to mind the attention. When finally allowed a few visitors into his room, he greeted them with the same easy smile he used for everyone. A group of young came first. They were students from the station's learning center, curious about the alien in their hospital. They stood at the foot of his bed and stared at him like he was something from a myth. "Is it true you have 17 broken bones?" one of them asked. "That is what the doctor tells me," said. "And you are not dead?" "I do not think so. Let me check." Looked at his hands, moved his fingers slowly. "No, still alive." The students whispered to each other. One of them, a girl with darker blue skin than the others, stepped forward. "Are all humans like you?" "Thought about this. Some humans are tougher than me, some are not as tough. We are all different, just like any species. But you can all survive damage like this." "Most of us could survive this, yes, with proper medical care." He nodded toward. "Doctor is taking very good care of me." The students looked at with new respect. To heal something that should not be healable was a great achievement in culture. After the students left, more visitors came. A merchant who wanted to shake's hand. A tall creature from a species did not recognize, who just wanted to look at a real human in person. A group of station workers who had bet money on whether would survive the week. "I hope you bet on me," told them. "We did," one of them said, "but not everyone believed." "Well, tell everyone I plan to keep living for a while longer." Not everyone who came was friendly. Some looked at with fear in their eyes. They saw a creature that could take damage that would kill them 10 times over and keep going. To them, this was not amazing. It was terrifying. Heard the whispers in the corridors. Humans are dangerous. If they can survive this much damage, imagine how hard they would be to fight. Maybe they should not be allowed in our part of the galaxy. These whispers reached the ears of Director, the station administrator. Was an old, thin even by their standards, with a face that rarely showed emotion. He had run Orbital Station 12 for 20 cycles and had never faced a situation quite like this. He called to his office. The director's office was high in the station's central tower. Through the windows, you could see ships coming and going from the docking bays. Stars glittered in the endless black of space. Sat behind his desk. His fingers were pressed together in front of his face. He did not stand when entered. "Doctor, thank you for coming." "Of course, Director," sat in the chair across from him. "How can I help you?" "I want to talk about your patient, the human." "Park, what about him?" Was quiet for a moment. The Galactic Trade Union has rules about dangerous species. Species that pose a threat to others can be restricted from certain areas. Travel limits. trade blocks, in extreme cases, complete isolation. Felt a chill run through her. You are thinking of classifying humans as dangerous. I am thinking of presenting the question to the Union Council. What happened to your patient has raised concerns. A being that can survive 17 broken bones. Shook his head slowly. Think about what that means for security, for safety. It means nothing for security, leaned forward in her chair. Park did not hurt anyone. He was hurt saving his. He used his resilience to protect someone else, not to attack. But the potential is there with any species. They have claws that can cut through metal, that can spit acid. We do not restrict them. And have been known to us for centuries. Humans are new. We do not understand them yet. Stood up, she rarely interrupted a superior, but she could not stay silent. Then let me help you understand. I have spent the last 3 days studying Park. I have talked to him, examined him, learned about his species. And do you know what I have discovered? Raised one thin eyebrow. Tell me. Humans are not built for war. They are built for survival. Their bodies heal quickly because their world was dangerous. They can ignore pain because sometimes they needed to run from predators or walk long distances to find food. Everything about them is designed for endurance, not destruction. But if they chose to use that endurance for violence, then they would be dangerous, just like any species would be dangerous if they chose violence. Took a breath, steadying herself. Director, I am not asking you to trust all humans. I am asking you to judge this one human by his actions. He risked his life to save his friend. He has been kind and patient with everyone who has visited him. He thanks Nurse every time she brings him that terrible nutrition paste. Almost smiled, almost. The nutrition paste is quite bad. It really is, but eats it without complaint. Met the director's eyes. Resilience is not the same as aggression. Park is proof of that. Was quiet for a long time. He looked out the window at the stars. Finally, he spoke. I will wait before making any recommendations to the council. I want to observe the human myself, and I want your full medical report when he is healed. You will have it. If he heals, we still do not know if that will happen. Smiled, he will heal. I am starting to think nothing can stop him. She returned to the medical bay. Was teaching how to play a human card game. He held the cards awkwardly because of his broken fingers, but he was laughing. Doctor, he called when he saw her, is beating me. She is too good at this. I have 4 hands, said proudly. It is easier to hold more cards. Sat down in her usual chair. She watched her patient shuffle the deck with painful slowness, making jokes about his own clumsiness. She thought about what she had told Director. Humans were built for survival. They were hard to kill but not hard to like. Park was proof of that. Whatever happened next, she would make sure the galaxy knew the truth about humans. Not monsters, not threats. Just people, tough, stubborn, unbreakable people. It happened on the 5th day. Was reviewing latest scans when she saw it. One of the vertebrae in his spine had shifted. The bone was moving out of place, pressing toward the spinal cord. If it moved any further, could lose the ability to walk. He could lose feeling in his entire lower body. She ran to his room. Was sitting up in bed, which he was not supposed to do. Was with him, helping him eat some fruit that she had found in the trading district. They were laughing about something. You need to lie down, said. Her voice was sharper than she meant it to be. Right now. The laughter stopped, looked at her face and understood immediately that something was wrong. What is it? Your spine. One of the broken vertebrae is shifting. If it moves anymore, it could damage your spinal cord permanently. His face went pale. What does that mean? It means he might never walk again. Moved to the bed and started adjusting the controls, lowering flat on his back. I need to do surgery, now. Did not argue, he did not make jokes. He just nodded and let work. Came when called. So did 2 other medical staff members that trusted. They prepared the surgical room with careful speed. Every second mattered. Held's hand as they wheeled him to the operating room. At the door, she had to let go. "I will be right here," she said. "I am not going anywhere." "I know," squeezed her fingers with his good hand. "See you soon." Captain Menu appeared just as the doors were closing. He stood next to, watching through the small window. His face was as calm as always, but his hands were tight fists at his sides. Inside began the most difficult surgery of her life. She had studied human anatomy in the days since arrived. She had read everything she could find in the station's database, but reading was not the same as doing. The human body was different from anything she had worked on before. It was denser. The muscles were thicker, wrapped around the bones like armor. The blood was a brighter red than any's, and there was so much of it. Cutting through to reach the spine was like walking through a jungle of tissue. "Keep the blood clear," she told. "I cannot see what I am doing." Worked with all four hands, using different tools at the same time. Sweat formed on her green skin. "I am trying. There is so much of it." 3 hours passed, then 4, then 5. Found the damaged vertebra. It had shifted more than the scans showed. The bone was pressing against the spinal cord, not cutting it yet, but close, very close. She needed to move it back into place and secure it there. She had tiny metal pins for this purpose. She had done this procedure on before, but bones were different. They were lighter, easier to work with. Human bones were heavy and hard. Getting the pins in the right position took all of her skill and concentration. 6 hours, 7. The anesthesia started to wear off. Felt move under her hands, not much, just a small twitch. Then his eyes opened. "What?" His voice was confused and rough. "Where am I?" Froze. This should not be happening. She had given him enough anesthesia to keep her unconscious for a full day. But the human body had burned through it in less than 8 hours. "Stay still," she said. "Can you hear me? You need to stay completely still." Blinked. His eyes slowly focused on the lights above him, on the medical tools, on his face looking down at him. "Oh," he said, "the surgery." "Yes, I am almost done, but I need you to not move. Can you do that?" "I can feel you touching my spine." "I know. I am sorry. The anesthesia wore off faster than I expected. If you can stay still for just a few more minutes." "It is okay." His voice was strained but steady. "Do what you need to do." Stared at him. He was awake. He could feel her hands inside his body working on his spine, and he was telling her it was okay. "Are you in pain?" she asked. "Yes," he almost smiled. "A lot of pain, but I trust you. Keep going." Made a small sound of distress. The other medical staff exchanged looks of disbelief. This was impossible. No patient stayed calm during open surgery. But stayed calm. He lay perfectly still while worked. He breathed slowly and evenly. He did not scream or cry or beg her to stop. Once he even spoke, "How is it going?" Almost dropped her surgical tool. "What?" "The surgery, how is it going? You looked worried earlier." It is going well. You are doing great." "Good, you are doing great too." Did not know whether to laugh or cry. She had never been encouraged by a patient during surgery before. It was so strange that it almost broke her focus. But she kept working. She placed the last pin. She checked the position of the vertebra. Everything was where it should be. "I am closing now," she said. "We are almost done." "Okay." His voice was getting weaker. The pain was taking its toll even on him. "I think I might pass out soon." "That is fine. Your body needs rest. Wake me up when there is food. Real food, not the paste." He passed out before could respond. The surgery took 11 hours total. When it was over, stepped back from the table and felt her legs shake. She had to grab the edge of a counter to keep from falling. Caught her arm. "Doctor, are you all right?" "I am fine, just tired." Looked at her patient, unconscious now and breathing steadily. He woke up during surgery and told me I was doing great. I know, I was there. His voice was full of wonder. I have never seen anything like that. I do not think anyone has ever seen anything like that. They moved back to his room. Was waiting, her face streaked with dried tears. When she saw being wheeled out alive, she covered her mouth with her hands. He made it. He made it, put a hand on shoulder. The surgery was successful, his spine is stable. Burst into fresh tears. Captain Minyu finally let his fists unclench. Can we see him? Minyu asked. He is unconscious, but yes, he will want to see familiar faces when he wakes up. They gathered around his bed, held his hand. Minyu stood guard at the door like he was protecting something precious. Sat in her usual chair, exhausted beyond words. She had been a doctor for 40 cycles. She had performed hundreds of surgeries. None of them had been like this. A patient who woke up during spinal surgery and stayed calm, who encouraged his doctor instead of panicking, who faced unimaginable pain with nothing but willpower and trust. She thought about what she would write in her medical report. She thought about what the galaxy would think when they learned what humans could endure. Some would be afraid, some would be amazed, some would not believe it at all. But believed it. She had seen it with her own eyes. She had felt it with her own hands. Humans were not just tough. They were something entirely new. A species that treated pain as an obstacle, not a limit. A species that could face the worst and keep going anyway. Park was not special among humans. He had said so himself. He was average, ordinary, just a cargo hauler from a small planet called Earth. If this was ordinary for humans, could not imagine what their best looked like. She closed her eyes and rested. Tomorrow there would be more work, more healing, more questions to answer. But tonight, she had accomplished something impossible. She had saved an unbreakable man from the only thing that might have broken him. And somewhere in his dreamless sleep, Park rested too. His body was already beginning to heal, knitting itself back together, preparing for whatever came next. 3 weeks after the surgery, Park took his first step. Had calculated that it would take 3 months minimum for his bones to heal enough to support walking. She had charts and data and decades of medical experience backing up that estimate. She had been very confident. She was wrong. The human body, she was learning, did not follow the rules. It made its own rules and changed them whenever it wanted. Its bones were healing at a speed that should not have been possible. Every scan showed new progress. The fractures were filling in with fresh bone tissue, stronger than before at the points where they had broken. His body was rebuilding itself like it had a job to do and refused to be late. I want to try standing, said on the morning of the 21st day. Looked up from her data pad. Absolutely not. My legs feel stronger, I can feel it. Your legs have multiple fractures that are still healing. If you put weight on them too early, you could undo everything. But I want to try. Opened her mouth to say no again. Then she stopped. She really looked at him. He had been lying in this bed for 3 weeks. He had been patient and cooperative and everything a doctor could ask for. But there was something in his eyes now, a restlessness that she recognized. Humans, she had learned, needed to move. It was part of their nature. Their ancestors had walked across entire continents. Staying still for too long went against everything they were. Let me run another scan first, she said finally. If the bones are stable enough, we can try. His face lit up, thank you. The scan took half an hour. Studied the results carefully, looking for any sign of weakness or instability. She found none. The bones were not fully healed yet, but they were solid enough to handle some weight. She should have been happy about this. Instead, she felt a strange sadness. Her patient was getting better. Soon, he would not need her anymore. The results are acceptable, she told him. We can attempt standing, but slowly, and if anything hurts too much, we stop immediately. And Captain Minyu were called. They arrived within minutes, moving fast through the station corridors, cleared space around bed and brought a walking frame just in case. "Are you sure about this?" asked. Her face was tight with worry. "I am sure I need to try," pushed himself up to a sitting position. Even that movement, which had caused him agony 3 weeks ago, now only made him wince slightly. "I cannot lie here forever." "You have only been here 3 weeks. "Exactly, forever." Minyu smiled slightly. It was rare to see him smile. "He is not going to wait any longer, you know how he is." "I know, that is what worries me." Positioned herself on one side of, took the other side. They would catch him if he fell. They would support him as much as he needed. On the count of 3, said, 1, 2, 3. Pushed himself forward. His legs swung off the bed and touched the floor. He put his hands on their shoulders and slowly, carefully, transferred his weight from the bed to his feet. For a long moment nothing happened. He just stood there, held up by and testing his own strength. Then he smiled. "It does not hurt as much as I expected." "Your body is producing endorphins," said. "The excitement is helping manage the pain." "I do not care why it works, I am just glad it does." He took a step. His right foot moved forward, found the floor, pressed down. His left foot followed. Then another step and another. He was walking. It was slow and awkward, and his face showed the effort it took. But he was walking. Started crying. She always cried when she was happy, had told once. It was one of his favorite things about her. Minyu nodded, a single sharp movement of approval. "Told you," he said to no one in particular. "Too stubborn to quit." Was crying too, all 4 of her hands covering her face. She had never seen anything like this in her short career. She probably never would again. Watched her patient cross the room, one painful step at a time. She should have been taking notes. She should have been documenting this moment for medical science. Instead, she just watched, letting herself feel the wonder of it. A human with 17 broken bones, walking 3 weeks after surgery. It was impossible. It was beautiful. Reached the window at the far side of the room. He stood there, looking out at the stars, breathing hard from the effort, and stayed close, ready to catch him if he fell. But he did not fall. He stood on his own broken legs and looked at the universe. "I thought I might never see this view again," he said quietly. "When the ship was breaking apart, when the container hit me, I thought that was it. I thought I was done." "But you kept going," said. "I did not have a choice. Needed me. The captain needed me." He turned to look at. "And then you needed me to stay alive so you could fix me. I could not let you down." Felt something warm bloom in her chest. She was not used to this feeling. We're not emotional people. They valued logic and calm above all else. But Park made her feel things she could not explain. "You should sit down now," she said, keeping her voice professional. "You have done enough for one day." 5 more minutes, please." She should have said no. Every medical instinct told her to say no. "Fine, 5 more minutes." They stood together at the window, human and looking at the stars. Outside, ships moved slowly through the docking area. The station hummed with life and activity. The galaxy went on as it always did. But something had changed, could feel it. The next day, Director came to visit. He walked into his room without warning, his thin face unreadable as always. Behind him came 2 assistants carrying recording equipment. "I wanted to see for myself," he said too. "The reports were difficult to believe." Most things about humans are difficult to believe. Approached his bed. The human was sitting up, eating actual food now instead of nutrition paste. Had brought him something called rice and vegetables from the trading district. Park said, "I am director, I run this station." "Nice to meet you." Set down his food and offered his hand, the human gesture of greeting. "Thanks for letting me stay here, and for letting Doctor take care of me." Did not take the hand. He stood very still, studying like a scientist studying a strange specimen. I have been told you walked yesterday. Just a little, across the room and back. After 3 weeks, with 17 broken bones. 16 now, I think. Doctor says some of them have healed completely. Was quiet for a long moment, then finally he spoke. I have contacted the Galactic Trade Union. I have recommended that formal relations be opened with your planet Earth. He paused. Any species that can survive what you have survived is a species we want as friends, not enemies. Blinked. Oh, that is good news, I guess. It is for both our peoples. Almost smiled. Almost. I hope you will tell others of your kind that you were treated well here. I will. Everyone has been great, especially Doctor, and grinned, though the food could use some work. I will take that under consideration. Turned to leave, then stopped. One more thing. The Council has asked me to inquire about something. The survival abilities of humans, are they common or are you exceptional? Laughed. It was a real laugh full of warmth. Me, exceptional. No, I am pretty average. My grandmother could have done this with one hand tied behind her back. She was tough. Stared at him for several seconds. Then he turned and walked out without another word. His assistants hurried after him. When they were gone, sat down in her chair. I think you frightened him. Frightened him? I was just telling the truth. That is what frightened him. Shook her head slowly. If you are average, he is imagining what your exceptional humans are like. Considered this. Yeah, I guess that would be scary. He shrugged and went back to eating his rice. But we are not scary people. We just want to explore and trade and make friends, same as everyone else. Believed him. After 3 weeks with Park, she knew he was telling the truth. But she also understood Director's fear. Humans were something new in the galaxy, something powerful in a way that no one had expected. Whether that power would be used for good or bad, only time would tell. For now, though, had a patient to heal. And that patient was eating rice and smiling at her like she was the best thing that had ever happened to him. She smiled back, just a little, just enough. 6 weeks after the crash, Park was cleared to leave. Signed the discharge papers with mixed feelings. Her patient had recovered far better than she ever expected. His bones were healed, strong at the fracture points where they had rebuilt themselves. His mobility was almost back to normal. He could walk without help, climb stairs, even carry light weights. By every medical measure, it was a success, the greatest success of his long career. So why did she feel so sad? Was in his room, packing the small bag of things he had collected during his stay. Gifts from visitors, cards from the students who had come to see him, a small plant that had given him because she said it would help him breathe better during recovery. You do not have to take all of this, said from the doorway. The plant especially, it needs a lot of light. I am taking all of it. Tucked the plant carefully into his bag. Every time I look at these things, I will remember this place. I will remember you. Felt that warm feeling in her chest again. She had stopped trying to understand it. You should rest for at least another month. No heavy lifting, no strenuous activity. Doctor, I know. You have told me 17 times. 18 now. Smiled. He walked across the room, moving easily on legs that should have been useless. He stopped in front of and looked down at her. Humans were taller than she had noticed. Not by much, but enough. Thank you, he said, for everything, for saving my life, for not giving up on me. You made it easy. You refused to die. I had a good reason. He put his hand on her shoulder, gentle and warm. I had a doctor who believed I could make it. Did not know what to say. Words were failing her, which never happened. She was known for her calm and her logic, not her emotions. But Park had changed things. He had changed her. Your ship is repaired, she finally said. Captain Minu told me they finished the work yesterday. The silver crane, good as new. Eyes softened. It will not be the same flying without you watching over me. I am sure you will find new ways to break yourself. Probably, humans are good at that. They walked together through the station, toward the docking bay where the silver crane was waiting. Along the way, people stopped to watch. Some waved. Some called out words of goodbye, had become something of a celebrity during his time here. And Captain Minu were waiting by the ship. Eyes were red from crying, but she was smiling. Minu looked the same as always, calm and steady. "Ready to go?" the captain asked. "Almost," turned back to, "there is one more thing." Reached into her pocket and pulled out a small medal. It was silver, shaped like a star, with words engraved on the surface. The medical commendation, the highest honor her profession could give. "This is usually given to doctors," she said, "for exceptional achievement in medicine, but the medical board agreed that you deserved it more than anyone we have ever treated." Stared at the medal. "I did not do anything, you did all the work. You stayed alive. That was the hardest work of all," pressed the medal into his hand. "You taught me more about medicine than 40 cycles of practice. You showed me that healing is not just about fixing bodies. It is about the spirit inside them." Looked at the medal for a long moment. Then, before she could stop him, he hugged her. The hug was strong, too strong. Felt her ribs compress under the pressure of human arms. For a moment, she wondered if he was going to break her bones the way the cargo container had broken his. But then he let go and she was fine, a little breathless but fine. "Sorry," he said, "I forgot you are fragile." "It is all right, I have survived worse." "Have you?" "No, that was the most dangerous thing that has ever happened to me." Laughed. It was a good sound, full of life and warmth. Found herself laughing too, a small sound that surprised her. Came forward and hugged as well, more gently than had. "Thank you for saving him. He is stupid and reckless, but he is ours." "I heard that, Sid." "You were supposed to." Captain Minu shook hand in the human way. His grip was firm but controlled. "The silver crane owes you a debt. If you ever need transport anywhere in the galaxy, you have it. I may take you up on that someday." The crew began boarding their ship. Went last, stopping at the top of the ramp to look back at one more time. "Take care of yourself, Doctor." "Take care of yourself, Park, and try not to break any more bones." "I will try, but no promises." He disappeared into the ship. The ramp closed behind him. A few minutes later, the engines came to life, filling the docking bay with a low hum. Watch from the observation deck as the silver crane lifted off. The ship moved through the station shields and out into open space. It turned toward the stars, toward wherever humans went when they left. Joined her at the window. The young nurse was crying again, her 4 arms wrapped around herself. "Do you think all humans are like him?" asked. Considered the question. She thought about everything she had learned in the past 6 weeks. The endorphins, the adrenaline, the persistence hunting, the bones that broke and healed stronger, the spirit that refused to quit no matter how much it hurt. She thought about Park, joking while bleeding, encouraging her during surgery, hugging her hard enough to almost break her ribs. "I suspect," she said quietly, "he might actually be one of the gentle ones." Made a small sound of amazement. Gentle. Compared to what humans could be. Watched the silver crane become a tiny point of light among the stars. He was hurt protecting someone else. He stayed alive because he did not want to let anyone down. Everything he did, every bit of his strength was used for others. That is gentle. That is the gentlest kind of strength there is. The ship disappeared into the blackness of space. Somewhere out there, Park was heading home, carrying a medal he did not think he deserved and memories of a doctor who had put him back together. Stayed at the window for a long time. She thought about her career, all the patients she had treated, all the lives she had saved. None of them had changed her the way this one human had. She had been afraid of death her whole life. All were. Their bodies were fragile, easily broken, quick to fail. Every day was borrowed time. but had shown her something different. He had shown her that breaking was not the end, that bones could heal stronger than before, that pain was just information and courage could turn it down like the volume on a speaker. She could not become human. She could not grow stronger bones or produce endorphins on command, but she could carry the lesson had taught her. Being breakable was not the same as being weak, and sometimes the broken ones were the strongest of all. Turned away from the window and walked back to her medical bay. There were other patients waiting, other lives that needed her help. The work was never done. But she was different now. She was braver, she was more hopeful. Because somewhere in the galaxy, humanity was out there. Tough, stubborn, unbreakable humanity. And they were not enemies, they were not threats. They were friends. The stars continued to shine, cold and distant and beautiful. Ships came and went from Orbital Station 12. Life went on as it always did. And in the medical bay, Doctor began writing her report. The report that would tell the galaxy what humans really were. Not monsters, not dangers. Just people who refused to give up. No matter what.